So rolling in here towards the end of January, this past weekend, we went down to Key Largo to the Playa Largo Resort for an event with the Marine Preservation Society, which is a group put together with concerned citizens and benefactors, founders of the Marine Preservation Society to help support the activity associated with the Florida Keys National Marine Sanctuary program, which is very important for the overall, reef environment for the entire Florida Keys all the way down to Dry Tortugas, from really this end all the way up on the north end here, which really starts off Key Biscayne all the way through Dry Tortugas and back around. So that's the entire Florida Keys National Marine Sanctuary. And the Marine Preservation Society was put together from a contingency of folks that are all interested in coral reef conservation. Some of the original founding members, Stephen Frink is on there, certainly Sarah Fangman, who was the past director of the Florida Keys National Marine Sanctuary, superintendent, she was there. So originally, there was a development related to the Florida Keys National Marine Sanctuary, which would be an organization helping to support that group. What happened was the Marine Preservation Society was established, and it was more of a direct relationship to helping support activity that may be necessary to help with conservation and preservation and other activities in the Florida Keys National Marine Sanctuary. Government sometimes works a little slower and needs a lot of authorizations to procure funding to do things, whereby the Marine Preservation Society can support activity in a quick fashion related to conservation and things that may endanger the reef. A classic example was last year, there was a floating net, a very large gill net with floats, basically marine debris that was floating in towards one of the reefs off of the Key Largo general area. I think it was maybe towards French Reef, and it was floating inshore. And it was noticed, and something had to be done because it might get caught up onto the coral reef and damage the coral reef with an impending weather coming in. So the Marine Preservation Society hired a contractor with a commercial vessel, I believe it was out of Key West, who came up, collected this net. They had a big boom on there. There was a lot of activity to do that and secure this before it got caught up onto the reef and damaged the corals, and they did that. So that costs money, and the Marine Preservation Society just wrote a check. So it's an all-volunteer group with support and sponsors who invest into the organization. There's nobody making money off of it. And when the time comes, like what happened during the heat event that happened the summer before this past one, and corals needed to go down and they need to hire more divers to bring the corals into deeper water to protect them, I believe as well that the Marine Preservation Society got involved immediately and helped support that by funding this activity. Sometimes you can't just get people to do this voluntarily. You need to implement an action plan and hire people to do this work, albeit waiting, for the government to make a decision to make it happen. So we decided as a group of aquarium companies to become a founder. So we're a founding member of the Marine Preservation Society and donated money. And there's a whole listing of all the different founders that are in here between the Restoration, Platinum, and Gold sponsor founders. And we went ahead and became a Gold sponsor founder, and also sponsored a table at the event this past weekend at Playa Largo. It was a really wonderful event. There were some great speakers, met some really engaging folks out of Ocean Reef and people in Isla Mirada, and then people within the sanctuary, people with Coral Restoration Foundation. And it was just a really fabulous event. So Marine Preservation Society, I think, raised several $100,000 for the event this weekend. We were very happy to go. We took Gio and his wife Sylvia, Josh and his wife Caridad. We also had Joe and Alyssa and Jolene and myself, and then we invited Frank and his wife Chelsea from Dynasty Marine, who are also in Marathon in the Florida Keys. And we do business with Dynasty as well. So it was really great to get us all together and spend some time and discuss the coral reefs and recognize that the things that we do, the actions that we do, the monies that we invest in coral restoration or coral preservation or coral conservation is warranted and is really beneficial for the environment and for the entire Florida Keys tract. So the restoration blueprint is out. Certainly that was recently put into play in the Federal Register and officiated. Now it's in the governor's hands, and the governor of the state of Florida has the ability to review this and either accept or reject different portions of it. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of contentious issues with that. You know, it's exciting to advance with the Florida Keys National Marine Sanctuary, but I'm confident that there will also be further negotiations to creating a better, more cohesive plan that allows for certain activities such as diving, whether you're fishing commercially or recreational, whether you're out catching tropical fish in the Florida Keys National Marine Sanctuary, your coral restoration efforts are regulated. The marine buoy program at all of the sanctuary sites, that's a very significant program that plants buoys out on the reef track for people to tie off their boats without throwing an anchor and damaging the reef. There's fishery regulations that are at play, and the best we can do is help support this kind of positive activity and reminds ourselves again why we need to conserve and protect the coral reefs and the natural environment for our future generations to enjoy. We left the Salty Soray at Playa Largo and Key Largo and determined we were going to go down to Aquarium Encounters in Marathon, which Ben Doherty and Frank Young from Dynasty, have been working on for years, to this really great small aquarium, which is really the greatest aquarium in the entire Florida Keys by far, which is super spectacular. So Ben offered to give us a tour, and Joe, Alyssa, myself, and Jolene went down there and toured the whole facility. They have tremendous in-ground saltwater ponds with all these beautiful mangroves all over. There was big barracudas, there were tarpon all over, all sorts of bird life was around. There was a big Goliath grouper in the bottom in this pond area in the water, huge jack crevalles, lots of beautiful colored parrotfish. There's stingray tanks there where you can pet the stingrays that are there. It's truly a tremendous educational facility, lots of lobster. They even had a lobster named Jeff, which is this massive lobster. I think he was 13 pounds or so. That's one of the mascots there and one of the big displays. How they named it Jeff, I have no idea. They have two 90,000-gallon aquariums that are adjacent to each other with a clear acrylic window in the middle. One side has sharks and rays and other big fish. The other side has more tropical fish and even pilchards and other coral reef fish, maybe some hogfish and angelfish and things like that. And you can actually swim in there. People pay to go in there to swim, and they can feed the sharks through this little acrylic window where you can't put your fingers through it, but you can put a piece of food through there and the sharks will come up and eat it right on the other side. So you're actually feeding a shark while you're in the water. We toured all of the filtration systems, which were very well laid out, and it was a great educational experience. Joe had never been, Alyssa or Jolene. I had been several times, but it truly is the best aquarium in the Florida Keys. So if you're ever down there, I would highly recommend you go visit Aquarium Encounters and learn about, the aquatic life and conservation in the Florida Keys. I know they're going to expand even more into the next couple of years, but it's really the coolest exhibit with natural marine life. It's all on a saltwater well point with filtration systems and help purify that water. Just a plethora of marine life. Really beautiful and well worth the time to go visit. So that was a great start to the final week here in January. This week, Joe and I worked extensively on some new plans for a very large project. We'll be building another 5,000 or 6,000 gallon plus reef aquarium. That's going to be very exciting. It's going to be a 2-year process. So we've been drawing plans, reviewing timelines, writing details, and picking components and items and designing systems that'll support this really unique big reef aquarium. So already have some significant projects underway that really sets the tone for the beginning of this year. We've also organized going out to the Tommy Mello event at the Freedom Services 2025 event in Las Vegas. That takes place September 3rd through 5th. We've secured a Global Pet Expo, Reef Stock, which will be 1st and 2nd of March. Jolene and I will go to Denver to attend that. We're at Global Pet Expo this year. We're doing the Fish Guy Professional Group Summit in Rhode Island, Connecticut area, 3rd week of March or 1st week of April. So Joe and I will be going to that as well. We are diving, planting corals in the big cylindrical aquarium that we finished over on the west coast of Florida. I can't really video and show it, but it is really exciting to see the maturity of this beautiful aquarium growing in. Joe heads off to his honeymoon in Hawaii on Saturday for 2 weeks, so he'll be out. And we can't wait to show you all the great things that happen this coming year. Remember to like, subscribe, and we'll keep bringing you some great content on coral reef aquariums, and we look forward to helping you learn more this year in 2025.